Bustamante Hospital for Children, Kingston, Jamaica. September 12, 2025, 2 p.m. Nurse Patricia Williams sat in the hospital break room holding a flash drive. Her hands were shaking. Inside that drive were 40 years of secrets, videos she'd recorded without permission, videos of Bob Marley visiting sick children, videos nobody was supposed to see. Patricia was 67 years old now. She'd been a pediatric nurse since 1985, and every single month for 40 years, Bob Marley had shown up. No announcement, no security, just Bob, his guitar, and a heart bigger than his fame. But Bob had made everyone promise never to tell. "Dis is between me and the children," he'd said. "Nobody else needs to know." Patricia had kept that promise for 4 decades, until Bob turned 80 and she realized the world needed to know that heroes really do exist. It started in 1985. Patricia was 27 years old, a young nurse fresh out of training. She was working the late shift in the cancer ward when a man walked in wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses. She almost called security. Visiting hours were over. But then he took off the sunglasses and she nearly fainted. Bob Marley, the Bob Marley, standing in her ward at 9 p.m. like it was the most normal thing in the world. "I'm here to see the children," Bob said softly. "If that's okay with you." Patricia couldn't speak. She just nodded. Bob smiled and walked to the first room. Inside was a 6-year-old boy named Devin. He had leukemia. His parents couldn't afford to stay overnight, so Devin was alone, scared. Crying? Bob knocked gently on the open door. "Mind if I come in, little warrior?" Devin looked up, tears on his face. He didn't know who Bob Marley was. He was 6, but he saw a kind face, a man with dreadlocks and a guitar. "Are you a doctor?" Devin asked. Bob laughed softly. "No, youth. I'm a musician. Want to hear a song?" Devin nodded. Bob sat on the edge of the hospital bed and started playing Three Little Birds. Softly, gently. Devin stopped crying. He listened. Bob sang the whole song, looking Devin in the eyes the entire time. Every little thing gonna be all right. When the song ended, Devin smiled. First time in 3 days. "Will you come back?" Devin asked. Bob nodded. "I promise." And he did. Every week for 6 months, until Devin went into remission. Bob never missed a visit. Patricia watched from the doorway that first night, tears streaming down her face. After Bob finished with Devin, he went to the next room. Then the next. Then the next. He stayed until midnight, visiting every single child in the cancer ward. 15 kids, some sleeping, some awake, some too sick to talk. Bob played for them anyway. When he finally left, he found Patricia at the nurse's station. "Please don't tell anyone I was here," Bob said. "These children need peace, not cameras." Patricia agreed. "Your secret's safe with me." Bob smiled. "I'll be back next month." He came back the next month, and the month after, and the month after that, for 40 years. Sometimes he came during the day, sometimes late at night. He worked around his tour schedule, his recording schedule, his life. But he never missed a month. Patricia watched him visit hundreds of children over the decades. Kids with cancer, kids with heart disease, kids in accidents, kids dying, kids healing. Bob treated them all the same, with dignity, with love, with music. In 1993, Patricia started recording the visits on her phone, not for social media, that didn't exist yet, but for the kids. She thought maybe someday they'd want to remember the man who came and played guitar when they were at their lowest. She never showed Bob. She knew he'd ask her to stop. So she recorded secretly. Little clips, never full videos, just moments. Bob playing, kids laughing, tears turning to smiles. 40 years of moments. One visit stood out. March 2003. A 7-year-old girl named Aliyah had brain cancer. She'd been at the hospital for 8 months. The tumor was inoperable. Doctors gave her weeks to live. She couldn't speak anymore. The cancer had taken that from her. She just lay in bed, silent, waiting to die. Her mother sat beside her every day, holding her hand, crying. Bob walked into that room, and Patricia watched him break. Bob sat on the bed next to Aliyah. She looked at him with tired eyes. Bob didn't play guitar at first. He just held her hand. For 10 minutes, they sat in silence. Then Bob started humming. Soft, low, a melody Aliyah's mother recognized immediately. No woman, no cry. Bob hummed the entire song. Aliyah couldn't speak, but tears rolled down her cheeks. Bob wiped them away. "You're brave, little queen," Bob whispered. "Braver than any warrior I've ever met. And when you're ready to rest, you rest. Your fight is over. You won. Not because you survived. Because you loved through to pain. That's winning." Aliyah's mother collapsed in sobs. Bob held her too. The three of them in that hospital room crying together. Patricia recorded it from the doorway, her own hands shaking. Aliyah died 2 days later. At her funeral, her mother told Patricia, "Bob Marley gave my daughter permission to let go. She was fighting for me, but after he visited, she looked peaceful, like she knew it was okay." Bob attended the funeral. Nobody knew. He sat in the back, baseball cap on, crying quietly. Then he left before anyone could recognize him. After Aliyah's death, Bob disappeared for 3 months. Patricia worried he'd stopped coming, but in June 2003, he returned. He looked older, tired, but determined. "I can't save them all," Bob told Patricia, "but I can make sure they know they loved, even if it's just for one song. That's enough." Patricia hugged him, breaking professional protocol. But she didn't care. This man was a saint, and nobody knew it. By 2025, Bob had visited over 3,000 children. Patricia kept rough count. Some visits were 5 minutes, some were 5 hours. Bob stayed as long as each child needed. He missed award shows for these visits. He missed parties. He missed opportunities. But he never missed a child, and he never told anyone. His family knew. His close friends knew. But the world had no idea. Then Patricia made a decision. Bob turned 80 in February 2025. He'd been doing this for 40 years. She had hundreds of video clips stored on hard drives, moments of pure humanity. And she realized the world needs to see this, not for Bob's ego. He'd probably be furious, but for everyone else, to prove that goodness exists, that fame doesn't have to corrupt, that one person can make a difference. She edited the clips into a 12-minute video. Just moments. Bob playing guitar, kids smiling, parents crying, healing happening. She titled it, "The Bob Marley You Never Knew, 40 Years of Secret Hospital Visits." Patricia posted it on YouTube on September 15th, 2025. She didn't tell Bob, she just posted it and prayed she was doing the right thing. The video went viral immediately. Within 6 hours, 20 million views. Within a day, 100 million. News outlets picked it up. Bob Marley's secret life of service. The legend who never wanted credit. 40 years of kindness hidden from the world. The internet exploded. Comments poured in. This is what real greatness looks like. I'm crying so hard I can't breathe. Bob Marley is proof that angels exist. But the most important reaction was Bob's. Patricia's phone rang at 11 p.m. It was Bob. She expected anger. Instead, his voice was soft. "You posted the video?" Patricia's heart sank. "I'm so sorry, Bob. I just thought the world needed to see—" Bob interrupted. "I'm not angry, Patricia. I don't know what I am. Overwhelmed, embarrassed, proud, all at once." He paused. "Why did you do it?" Patricia took a deep breath. "Because the world is dark right now. People need to know that good people exist. Real good people. Not performative, not for cameras. Just good. You're that person, Bob, and I kept your secret for 40 years. But at 80 years old, your legacy needs to be more than music. It needs to be this." Bob was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke, his voice cracking. "Those children, they healed me more than I healed them. Every time I walked into that hospital, I was reminded why I'm alive, why I make music. It was never for me. It was for them. Always for them." Patricia was crying. "I know, Bob, and now the world knows too." Bob sighed. "My phone won't stop ringing. Every news station wants interviews, but I don't want to talk about it. This wasn't for publicity." Patricia understood. "You don't have to do interviews. The video speaks for itself." But the world wouldn't let it go. Within a week, former patients started coming forward. Devin, the 6-year-old boy from 1985, was now 46 years old. He posted on Facebook, "Bob Marley visited me when I was dying of leukemia. I didn't know who he was then, but he came every week for 6 months. He's the reason I believed I could survive. I'm now a doctor specializing in pediatric oncology. Because of him, thank you, Bob, for saving my life." The post got 8 million shares. More stories emerged. A woman in Canada who'd had heart surgery at 9 years old. Bob had visited her in 1997. She posted a photo of them together, Bob holding her hand in the ICU. "This man flew from Jamaica to Toronto to visit me. I was nobody. He was a legend, but he treated me like I was the most important person in the world." A man in London who'd been in a car accident in 2008. Bob had been in London for a concert and heard about him from a nurse. Bob showed up at 2 a.m., played guitar until the man fell asleep. "I couldn't move. I was in pain. But Bob's music made me forget, just for an hour. That hour saved my sanity." Hundreds of stories, maybe thousands. Children Bob had visited over 40 years, now adults, coming forward to say thank you. The impact was impossible to measure. How many of those kids survived because Bob gave them hope? How many became doctors, nurses, musicians, teachers, and decided to help others because someone had helped them? Ripple effects spanning decades. All because one man with a guitar decided that fame meant responsibility. Bustamante Hospital for Children made an announcement on October 1, 2025. They were renaming their pediatric cancer ward the Bob Marley Wing of Hope. Bob tried to decline, but the hospital insisted. "For 40 years, you brought hope to our sickest children. Many wouldn't have survived without you, not medically, but spiritually, emotionally. You gave them a reason to fight. This is the least we can do." Bob attended the dedication ceremony. He didn't give a speech. He just played "Three Little Birds" for the children currently in the ward. 20 kids, some bald from chemo, some with IVs, all smiling, all singing along. Patricia stood in the back, watching. She'd been terrified Bob would hate her for posting the video, but he'd thanked her. "You made me face my own legacy," Bob had told her. "I was scared people would think I was showing off, but you showed them the truth. Sometimes we need to be reminded that goodness is real." Patricia smiled through tears. Her secret was out, but it was the right decision. The video reached 500 million views by the end of 2025. It became the most watched video of the year. Not a music video, not entertainment, just documentation of kindness. People showed it in schools, churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, everywhere. This is what it means to be human, leaders of every faith said, not just believing in love, but acting on it for 40 years, with no reward. But there was a reward. Bob just didn't see it that way. The reward was Devin becoming a doctor. The reward was Aaliyah's mother finding peace. The reward was 3,000 children knowing, even for one moment, that they mattered. That's the reward. Not fame, not money, but impact. Real, tangible, generational impact. In December 2025, Bob did one final hospital visit. Patricia went with him. They walked through the Bob Marley Wing of Hope together. Bob stopped at each bed, played for each child. Some were too young to know who he was, but they knew he cared. You can't fake that. Children can sense authenticity. And Bob was the most authentic person Patricia had ever known. In the last room was a 5-year-old boy named Marcus. He had the same cancer Devin had in 1985. Leukemia. Bob sat on his bed and played Three Little Birds. Marcus listened, wide-eyed. When the song ended, Marcus asked, "Will you come back?" Bob smiled. The same question Devin had asked 40 years ago. "I promise," Bob said. And he would keep that promise. As long as he could breathe, as long as he could play, he'd keep coming back. Because that's what legends do. They don't just create art, they create hope. Patricia posted one final video in December, just Bob and Marcus, Bob playing guitar, Marcus smiling. The caption, 40 years, 3,000 children, infinite impact. This is Bob Marley's real legacy. The video got 200 million views. But the views didn't matter. What mattered was Marcus. And every child like him. Every child who needed to know that in a world full of pain, there was still someone who cared. That's what would have happened if Bob Marley lived to 2025. He would have spent 40 years visiting hospitals, never asking for credit, never seeking publicity, just loving children who needed love. And when the world finally found out, they wouldn't be surprised. Because that's who Bob Marley always was. A man who believed that love is action. Not words, not songs. But showing up, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. For the children nobody else saw. That's a legend. Not because of music, but because of heart. And Bob Marley's heart was big enough to hold 3,000 sick children and still have room for more.